Hello, hello, hello. Again, this is Michael B. Zilla Whitmore. Again, with another podcast. Just still working out the kinks here. I'd like to first say shalom, brothers and sisters, to all that are listening. Yahweh Da. That means Yahweh thanks. And all praises due to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai being who is ignorantly known as Jesus Christ. So as I'm just coming again to give you what I know to be true, and as I'm evolving in this truth, maybe help somebody out there who's also looking. So today, of course, as we know, what's most recent in the news is that we have the Trayvon Martin situation inverted. And it's interesting because I see how a lot of people were really, really thinking that this George Zimmerman dude was going to get off. And I'm like, well, it really doesn't make much sense to think that this cat could get off from killing an unarmed teenager. But let's remember where we at. This is the great place of America, man, which is one bloody nation that has been one, since its inception, man. It comes from, it was founded on war. This whole land was occupied by who is in control now by deception and murder. So, let's not get it confused. And we all walk around with this belief that there's supposed to be some kind of what you reap, what you sow factor. But everybody's looking for justice, which seems to look for an equal footing. Well, there's nothing equal to somebody who has made sure that you've been unequal. That's not even a fair thing to look for. You want to look to still work within this system that has treated you unfairly. Like as today, we mostly call that freedom. Thanks to integration. Now, integration just made it easier for the rich elites to enslave more of the people. Now, as I can continue to keep studying, I keep noticing all these other things. Here recently with this 50c3 thing, and I've known about this for some time, but it's just recently came to my attention how deep it goes. And if you're a pastor or a preacher or a nonprofit, there's certain things that you can't talk about, which is just amazing to me. If you would want to lead people in the right direction, trying to, get them into the ark of safety, with the covenant of the Lord, well, first off, you need to tell them what's really right and what's really wrong by the word itself. Well, these people have felt more than comfortable with continuing to go with this 501c3 doctrine, or 501c3 doctrine, which is clearly telling you that you can't be against abortion. You can't be, matter of fact, you cannot say that homosexuality is a sin and that, it's an abomination unto the Lord, which the word says in the law that was originally given to Moses. So to be looking for pastors to kind of take out elements of the word, it's like, well, why would you do that? That kind of seems like an evil agenda. But what we're doing now is just completely taking the Lord out of everything. And it's perfectly okay. So they say it's church, a separation of church and state, but it's really not. The state dictates what the church teaches. So the church itself, right now, as it's set up, can't even tell you that that you're Israelites or you're this, that, or the other. The church is purposely set up to not guide you in that direction. And that's coming from the state. So it's like, well, you got to start wondering, how long do I want to be part of this hypocrisy of letting such a travesty go on within our churches, and we're calling them our churches. However, they're the state's churches, and you're a part of the state. So, pretty much all you are to them is a commodity, because they get their money, and if you're part of these other churches, and they get these tax exemptions, which with the tax exemption is just allowing them to further, to kind of get able to, like, they can sell books, which again the the stuff that they publish in their individual books and stuff actually also has to be ran through the IRS. Like, this stuff has to be okayed by the Internal Revenue to even classify you as a church or a ministry or this, that, and the other. So, which kind of, bring back to remembrance this the scandal with the IRS and how they were going after people and scrutinizing certain non-profit applications. Well, what was it that they were scrutinizing? Because another thing you can't be is pro-life. You can't be... actually, you can't even be against pornography. Now, that just seems real odd. Like, you can't speak out against movie stars or music people. You can't speak out against the elites. You can't speak out against, like, the elite bankers, Skull and Bones, CIA, FBI, FEMA, OSHA, and etc. None of these things you can speak against. You actually have to literally just sit there and let them do their thing and run your church while you pay tithes every Sunday to a situation that isn't even honoring the God to which you're claiming to serve. Now, again, they won't teach the name itself, because so you'll never hear the Lord's name in the church, because these people are so wicked. They tell you that well, the Lord's name really wasn't in the Bible. You see it, you see it omitted. Now, my Bible is actually one that they give to pastors and ministers, clergy. So I know where the words are omitted, and they change it from Yahweh to Lord. However, I stumbled across a website which is called www.HebrewOldTestament.com. And what this has in it is actually it has the versions of the modern Hebrew, and then it also has the Paleo Hebrew, which is the original, I guess, scribe of what you would see. Well, what I stumbled across in the Paleo Hebrew, since I already knew what the Father's name was and what it looks like, and the translation, because I actually have that in my Bible, so I knew that every time you see the word Lord in the Bible, it's actually supposed to say Yahweh. And here I am on so I went ahead and just looked at the Hebrew site, and I wanted to know, like, okay, well, what is really here? Because a lot of people say, well, you don't see the Lord, you don't see his name, you don't see his name. Well, looking at this, it says this is Paleo Hebrew before 585 BC. And very clearly is the original Hebrew transcription where we now have Lord. It actually says Yahweh, the name itself. So that means that every time you see Lord in the Bible and they're using that reference, that's actually supposed to be the name of Yahweh, not changed because it's too hallowed. His name is hallowed just like his people, but they have no problems putting their hands on his people, because you think, like, how we have allowed ourselves to think this foolishness that our enemies have taught us. How is it that these ancient people have disappeared now, but there's so many other people that are still around? But just these particular people who by chance happen to be chosen of the Lord for the Lord's own inheritance, well, that doesn't really make much sense then. Because how would these people be gone? You know, I mean, we're not really thinking, man. You know, and we get so used to kind of getting accustomed to the way we were brought up and the way we were taught. So we don't want to move from that, because we've got very comfortable and complacent in that. Now again, I'll probably talk for about 10 minutes or so. So let me give you this scripture here that I just happen to be looking through today. Oh, not to mention, today is also the Day of Atonement. So it is a 24-hour fast. It started last night at sundown and goes to tonight at sundown, which is the Day of Atonement, and it's the forgiveness of sins of Israel. I'll get to that in a sec. But this right here, I just happened to, in my searching this morning, came across it. This is Isaiah chapter 3. I'll start at verse 6. Actually, I'll go back. I'll start at verse 4. So, and I will give children to their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And all the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. And in that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against Yahweh, to provoke the eyes of his glory. Now again, when I just said Yahweh, that actually says the Lord, but we just recognize that has been omitted. So, you know, one thing you want to do if you're trying to come back and really be real to the Lord is honor his name that he gave. Let's not look for a translation of today. Let's go back and honor the name that he gave. Now let's go back to, this is verse 9, Isaiah chapter 3. The show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Now we very clearly see that this place is declaring they sin as Sodom. Just as Britain just did. They just legalized gay marriage. I think that was official today with the Queen and her 60th wicked jubilee, which is a whole nother, it's a whole nother number thing going on where the Lord has even set this up. That's how these elites know what's happening. It's by the numbers and dates and other kind of signs that they have removed out of the Bible and removed out of Jerusalem when they went and conquered Jerusalem, when Rome conquered Jerusalem. And some of that stuff ended up into the hands of the Nazis, and that's where a lot of this chemical warfare stuff comes from, because America went over there and got a hold of that, trying to be the Fourth Reich. So let's see. So they hide it not. I think declaring gay marriage and making a big to-do out of it, and when your president actually repeatedly sticks his hand out in gestures and manners to say, hey, I applaud everybody who's coming out for this gay marriage thing, and he'll do it real fast. So as soon as like the law was passed, he's on the phone with somebody in front of a cameraman, and the President Obama is actually calling these people on the phone and saying, hey, congratulations, you're big, big heroes for change or whatnot. Well, the change he's talking about is that complete control of the devil, man. And nobody can seem to understand that, but that's what he's selling you. Because your churches are not selling you be righteous. They selling you be okay in what you're doing and all is forgiven. However, that doesn't really fly in the eyes of the Lord. So they give you little bits and pieces and tell you that the law was done away with. That's a clear, outright lie. There was no law that was done away with. That's how you're sinning. You cannot call yourself sinning without the law. You don't call yourself a criminal unless you break the law. So you can say today, because we look at something like this, it's not breaking the law. No, they're going to take your ass to jail just like anything else. That's foolish. But when it comes to this word, when it comes to the Creator, the most powerful thing, we're going to take Him lightly more so than man. Well, then you off. And you don't have to sit up here and be mad at me, because I'm telling you that you off. You have put man higher than the God you say you serve. And I've heard a lot of people right now talking about this uplifting mess. I'm not here to uplift you. I'm not in a popularity contest. I've already told you that before. Matter of fact, we go on in this verse and continue. As it says, this is Isaiah chapter 3, verse 9. I'm in the middle of the verse. After, they declare their sins as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul. Woe unto their soul. Woe means death and destruction. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Oh, so being proud in this gay marriage thing is rewarding evil unto yourself. Not a pass. No, you giving up. You choosing this. Your free will is making you choose this. Okay, well, choose it. You're out. You choose to be in and you choose to be out. Well, it say right here in Isaiah, this Old Testament, man, who could wipe away the words of the Most High? Please, get that out your mind. Paul was never in any position to do so, nor does he write so. However, it is very much taking out of context his epistles, which are letters to other Israelite churches, not foreigners, which are taken out of context, and you bypass the prophets and the scriptures to win, and the law that the Most High Himself set up. And we're going to then start taking Paul's word for it. Again, let me get something straight here. When the church was set up on Peter, one of the circumcision. So get it out of your heads that this Gentile mind state somehow supersedes the original doctrine that we were given. It does not. The Gentiles are supposed to be brought back into this doctrine, not the other way around. Let's go out and let's start eating pork. Let's go out and start eating shellfish and all the fat catfish we can find, and cook, rice and bacon grease. Come on, man. You're not thinking clearly, man. You're not using common sense. Woe to their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Continue, verse 10. Say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him. for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked. There we go. There's the woe again. Well, now, who would the wicked be if you're actually telling we already cleared up the Israel, Judah, and Jerusalem. So who are these wicked? I'll let y'all stew on that one. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. The reward of his hands shall be given him. Well, let's see, whose hands right now that have hands big enough to control this land and every other land? Because to have hands is an extension of an arm. You put a Y on the end of the arm, you have army. So with that extension everywhere, then what is it that you're actually witnessing? You're witnessing that this land is the land of the wicked. Because the world was given over to the hands of the wicked cover the faces of the judges thereof. Even so much, not to say just our legal system judges, but they put Caesar Borgia's face as the face of Christ. Which, of course, Christ was never a name that he was ever called in Hebrew anyway. Now, when you get back to Paul, when Paul tells you that when the Lord met him on his way to Damascus, he spoke to him in the Hebrew tongue. So I guess that also kind of addresses why the churches don't tell you things, and these new, well, I guess they're not so new, but these other groups, which call themselves Hebrew Israelites, but still are carrying the name and the banner of Jesus Christ. We are Hebrew Israelites. Christ came from our oppressors, period. We should not envy our oppressors. They gave us that name. We should not envy that. We should be finding what we were supposed to have. And then, you know, actually that's funny. I guess I was brought to this particular place for a reason. Because let me go on and continue here, because this is going to be pretty interesting to where I'm going. This is verse 11, still in Isaiah chapter 3. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. As for my people, I wonder who he means. Children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. So let me go back to that. For as my people, children are their oppressors. I know when I've worked for what we call, or we refer to the Jews, I seen, when I started there, I seen their kids in high school. I seen some of their kids go through college. I've seen, let's see, and then I've seen them come to the business, and then be elevated instantly into our bosses, and they're controlling us. And from one that I seen, like a senior in high school, he's actually the one telling them, hey, okay, we could let him go because they had lost my contract. So this is how it works out. See, they're still there. It was set up. So at the same time, all of the other shady business that they was doing, I was on a city contract, and they weren't even paying me what they were supposed to pay me. And of course, the city doesn't really give a crap about black folks. I was the token black working at this particular company with these so-called Jews, which have no idea of the statutes that they're supposedly born into. Like, they've asked me when I was there, asked me more about this Bible than they knew. Like, you don't even know about your own so-called. That's supposed to be yours, but it's not. Of course, we know they're the synagogue of Satan that call themselves Jews and are not. Um, and then also it goes on to say the children are our oppressors. That clears that up, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people know that. But it goes on and says, and women rule over them. So let me just go back to the beginning of this verse. It says, as for my people. I would stand to say that that is pretty firm, that would be talking about the elect of Israel. That 144,000 men. Yes, you heard me correct. Men. Because the men are the seeds. Now, that's why it was set up that way. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, we can't believe this. Well, this is how you found yourself in error in the first place. By going off of what the word tells you is the righteous way of life. The way to stay healthy and sustain long life. You do everything against what he tells you. Can't understand why people get cancer, diabetes, and all of these other, the high cholesterol, the high blood pressure, and hypertension, and all kind of madness. But you can't ever think that maybe it's because we keep ignoring the statutes that were given to us. But let's keep going at it, like trying to worry about the fruit falling off a tree versus cutting the tree down. That just, you're doing things backwards, people. And we were taught to do it that way, but it is not okay to stay there and be comfortable with doing it. So, as for my people, the elect men of Israel, women rule over them. And right now we see very clearly that women run this society. Men can get their kid taken away by the state just like that, based off of what any woman said. Matter of fact, my car I'm dealing with a situation now. I just had my car towed out of my spot, my actual spot that I have with my landlord. And all of these women, one who's calling, my car was on flat, so I guess it sat there on flat a week too long for her. So she said, all right, well, I'm going to call and have their car moved and have their car towed out of a tennis spot. So then the people go and handle their business totally shabby. And it's all women. And nobody wanted to contact the man in this situation. So instead of actually contacting me, they actually just went ahead and had my car towed. I just had to, I've been dealing with that already. And so it just goes to show that, that type of rule is causing problems. Instead of going correct and say, let's just address this man. Let's just handle it all with the women and then call the tow truck. And then, the black man is definitely more unemployable right now than the black woman. That's all by design, man, to keep us confused. We've been pushed that doctrine of let's get this and let's flash right now, and what can he give me and what can I remember coming up all the time when I was growing up, hearing, well, my husband gonna have this, and okay, well, what you gonna do? Because eating out all the time. You want to have a husband, you don't even want to make a house for the man. Have no idea of wanting to do that. He's non-existent. He just was put on this planet to serve this woman. That's totally backwards to what the Lord has initially set up. And I'm telling y'all, y'all need to very, very, very much humble yourselves and get back to original doctrine if you want to be right and you want to be part of this righteous number. And the righteous scarcely make it in, man. So it's not time for playing and time for leading these, listening to these fake preachers and pastors. And get your mind right, man, to get in this word and seek the Lord for yourself. Because looking for him through every Sunday sermon is nuts, man. So I'm gonna continue. Again, Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12, actually. So I'll start from the top. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. Yahweh standeth up to plead, and standeth to judge the people. Yahweh will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof. For ye have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. Well,